Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something, well, pretty fundamental for learning English, an idea that kind of goes against the grain for a lot of us. It's this concept that speaking more, even when you feel you hardly know anything, is actually the key to getting fluent faster.
It really is a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Because we all have that feeling, that instinct maybe, that we need to hoard knowledge first.
Right, like gotta nail the grammar, memorize endless vocabulary lists.
Finish all the course books.
Yeah, and then we'll be ready. Then we'll magically find the confidence to speak.
But what the resource we're looking at today suggests is that, well, focusing too much on that preparation, on what you don't know yet, can actually slow you down. It can hinder your path to fluency.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then, to really unpack why speaking is just so vital. And maybe more importantly, figure out how you can start doing it more.
Even if you don't have a conversation partner readily available.
Exactly, even if you're mostly studying solo right now.
Yeah, the goal is to shift that perspective a bit. By the end, hopefully you'll feel inspired and ready to actually use your English more actively.
Okay, let's jump in. The problem with, let's call it overlearning. Think about this scenario, it's super common. You're putting in the hours, right? Studying grammar, using apps, watching videos in English, all good stuff.
Sure, seems productive.
But then the moment comes to actually speak. Maybe order a coffee, ask a question, and you just freeze.
Oh yeah, that internal panic. It's amazing how many learners, people who've studied for years.
5 years, 10 years.
Even 15 years, like the resource mentions, they still feel completely stuck when it comes to just having a simple conversation.
It really shows that gap, doesn't it, between knowing about the language and actually using it.
It's like that swimming analogy. You can read every single book on swimming technique,
Understand fluid dynamics.
memorize the strokes, but until you physically get in the water.
You can't swim, period. It's a different kind of knowing.
Exactly. Speaking is the getting in the water part of language learning. It's the active practice that makes the knowledge real, usable.
And like learning to ride a bike, maybe. You have to accept you're going to wobble.
You're definitely going to wobble. You might even fall off a few times, but that's how you learn balance, how you build the skill. It's part of it.
And that fear of wobbling, of making mistakes, that seems huge. The resource talks about a student studies 2 hours every single day.
Wow, dedicated.
Super dedicated, focuses hard on grammar, vocabulary, but hardly ever speaks.
It's that imbalance, isn't it? All input, very little output.
Yeah. It's like filling your phone with tons of amazing apps,
Yeah.
but then never actually opening or using any of them. All that potential just sitting there.
That's a great way to put it. Speaking forces your brain to actually work with the language differently. It's not just passive recognition, it's active retrieval, assembly.
Construction, yeah. It makes the brain process things much more effectively.
So just focusing on learning, piling up information without actively using it through speaking, it slows down your progress towards actual fluency.
So the takeaway from this first part is pretty clear then.
Yeah, I think so.
You
Practice speaking. That's the engine.
Okay, we see the problem with only studying, but let's dig into why speaking is so powerful. Fluency.
Yeah.
It's not just perfect grammar and a huge vocabulary, right? What does the resource say?
Right. It defines fluency more as the ability to use English without long pauses, without too much hesitation.
Naturally.
Yeah. Forming sentences that sound natural, communicating your meaning effectively, that's the core. And speaking is presented as the primary way to get there.
The resource uses that analogy of the brain as a muscle. And speaking is the workout. That real-time pressure of finding words, structuring sentences, that's what strengthens it.
That real-time demand is absolutely key. When you speak, your brain is doing so much at once, grabbing words, putting them in order, applying grammar, translating thoughts, often while someone's waiting for an answer.
Even if it's just talking to yourself about your plans for the weekend.
Exactly. Even that internal or quiet practice counts. And doing this repeatedly, the resource argues, is what actually rewires your brain to start thinking in English over time.
Which is kind of the holy grail for learners, isn't it? Thinking directly in the language.
It really is.
And here's something encouraging from the resource. Most learners actually know enough English already to start speaking more than they do.
Yes, that's such an important point. Often, the main thing holding people back isn't a lack of words or grammar.
It's courage. Confidence.
Exactly. It's the confidence. And crucially, confidence isn't something you get from reading another book. It's built by doing it, by speaking,
Okay. So every time you manage to say something, communicate an idea,
no matter how simple.
you're proving to yourself that you can. It builds on itself.
It's that positive feedback loop. You speak a little, you feel a bit more comfortable, it makes you willing to speak a bit more, and so on. Perfection isn't needed at the start. Just getting the words out is the win.
And that active use makes learning stick better, right? Faster improvement.
For sure. It's real-life application. There's this anecdote in the resource about a student who was terrified of making grammar mistakes, so they just stayed quiet.
Relatable.
And the advice was basically, just start speaking. Your grammar will actually get better through speaking because you'll notice your own mistakes or you'll hear what sounds right.
It's like the driving thing again. You passed the theory test.
Great, but you're not a good driver yet.
Not until you spent time actually driving, dealing with traffic, parking.
Exactly. Practice is essential. And for language, speaking practice helps everything: pronunciation, flow, rhythm, even that feel for grammar.
So fluency comes from using the knowledge, not just having it stored away.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Moving from being an observer to being a participant.
Okay, but let's be real. People have reasons or maybe excuses for not speaking. Our resource tackles these head on, which is great, and it acknowledges their common feelings.
Yeah, totally understandable hurdles. Recognizing them is step one.
All right, first big one. I don't have anyone to practice with. That feeling of isolation. What's the counter?
Well, the resource suggests something simple, maybe slightly weird feeling at first.
Yeah.
Talk to yourself.
Out loud.
Yeah. Describe your day. Narrate what you're doing. Okay, now I'm chopping the onions. Explain something you learned to an imaginary friend. It gets you forming sentences using the language.
Like a rehearsal, okay. And, of course, there are practical tools too.
Oh, absolutely. Apps, websites, tons of places online now to find language exchange partners. People specifically looking to practice, just like you.
So that excuse doesn't really hold up if you get a little creative.
Not entirely, no. Start with what you can do.
Okay, excuse number 2. I'm afraid of making mistakes. The big one. Fear of judgment, embarrassment.
This one's huge. The resource really encourages reframing mistakes. Think about how babies learn to talk.
They make mistakes constantly.
All the time. Wrong words, weird grammar, but they just keep trying, and they get there. Mistakes are just feedback. They show you where you need to adjust.
It's proof you're trying, pushing yourself. The resource even says if you're not making mistakes, maybe you're playing it too safe.
Exactly. You're not challenging yourself enough. Communication is the goal, not perfect accuracy right away. Mistakes mean growth.
All right. Then there's, my English just isn't good enough yet. That feeling of needing more before starting.
Yeah, this one sounds reasonable, but it's a trap. Waiting for good enough means you might wait forever.
So the advice is,
Start now. Use the English you have today, even if it's simple sentences. Your English gets better by using it, not by waiting.
we keep coming back to that, don't we? Fluency is the result of speaking, not the requirement for it.
Exactly right. Learn by doing.
And the last one, I'm too shy, which is so real for many people. Speaking a new language feels incredibly vulnerable.
Totally normal. The resource points out, though, that most people are actually really supportive. They admire the effort,
Yeah, people are generally nice.
generally. And again, confidence isn't something you just have. It grows with practice. The more you do it, the less scary it becomes.
So start small. Maybe talk to yourself first, like you said.
Yeah, talk to yourself, then maybe find a patient tutor or a friendly online group. Low-stakes environments. Then build up. Don't let shyness be a permanent roadblock. Practice is the way through it.
So, okay, these excuses are normal but solvable.
Absolutely. And speaking is the tool to solve them, really.
Which brings us neatly to this core idea. Learn less, speak more. It sounds wrong, doesn't it? Like, shouldn't we learn more?
It does sound counterintuitive at first. It's crucial to understand it doesn't mean stop learning completely.
Right. Don't throw away your dictionary.
Definitely not. It means rebalancing your focus. Shifting away from only passive study, just reading, just memorizing, without actually applying it.
It's about activating the knowledge you already have.
Precisely. You probably know more words, more basic grammar than you think you do. Enough to start communicating simply.
So tap into that. Use the words you already know, the sentence patterns you're comfortable with, and just start talking.
Yes. Start small, start simple, but start. Activate that knowledge.
So it's less about reducing learning overall and more about making speaking a regular central part of the learning process itself, not just the final exam.
You got it. Speaking is learning. a very effective form of it.
Okay, for everyone listening now thinking, right, I get it, I need to speak more, but how? Practically speaking. The resource had some concrete tips.
Yeah. Simple, actionable things. Tip 1. Just start with simple sentences. Don't try to be Shakespeare immediately.
Right.
Focus on just getting thoughts out in basic English. Build the habit.
Makes sense. Get the ball rolling.
Tip 2 is interesting. Record yourself speaking.
Ooh, scary.
Can be, but incredibly useful. Just a minute or two. Listen back. You'll hear things about your pronunciation, your pauses, maybe little grammar habits you weren't aware of.
It's like holding up a mirror to your spoken English. Objective feedback.
Exactly. Really powerful for self-correction.
And the third tip.
Find those language partners online. We mentioned it with the excuses, but it's worth repeating as a proactive step. Use those apps, find those communities.
Okay, simple sentences, record yourself, find partners, and underlying all that.
The main goal is just to speak. Don't aim for perfection, aim for practice. Consistent effort, active use.
Just get the words out.
Get the words out regularly.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the message from this resource seems incredibly clear and consistent.
Yeah, speak more. If you want fluency, you need to practice the act of speaking consistently without waiting for perfection.
It really flips the script on traditional learning sometimes. Less passive absorption, more active production.
That's the core idea. Shift that energy.
So for you listening, we really hope this encourages you. Take the English you have right now, today, and start using it.
Even just a few minutes every day. Talk to yourself, talk to a pet, record a voice note.
And really try to let go of that fear of mistakes. See them as signs of progress.
Because every time you speak, you're building that muscle, building that confidence. More speaking leads directly to more fluency. It's the path.
So the final thought, learn less, speak more, give it a try, keep practicing. Thanks for joining our deep dive today.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.